Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about web design, what it is, why it's important, and what makes for a good web design. Web design is the process of curating a branded website that's attractive, engaging, and user-friendly for your business's target audience. It should also encourage a call to action, as the core goal of a business website is to attract new and existing users to turn them into customers. Whether that's call to actions such as get in touch, so to submit an inquiry, or if it's an e-commerce website, then things like the add to cart button and buy now buttons are all call to actions, as they're calling the user to take action, whether that's to submit an inquiry, make a purchase, submit a form, things like that. When you're thinking about web design, you should think about a new website just like any other investment for your business. If your website isn't delivering results, it's probably time to think about updating it. Great web design will give your business another salesperson, essentially. A website should sell 24/7 for your business, whether minor tweaks can make an incredible difference as well, that you'll see to user experience and sometimes even performance. Companies need websites that look good and perform incredibly well in search engines and their interactions with customers. So, one thing that'll come up again when you talk about web design is web development. Web development is the next step after an effective design has been signed off. It's what goes sort of under the hood of the business website. As a client, you should know if you are getting a template, a page builder, a custom website developed for you. You should know the differences between each of these, the pros and cons, and why you have selected the website development that you have. Website development is essentially the actual building of your website. The website should be created to ensure you have a stable, secure, and accessible website, one that's very easy to manage, low maintenance, and ready to and reliably deliver for your business when you invest in sort of any kind of digital marketing. So web design technically would come first. You would think about how you want your website to look, where to place all of the call to action buttons, what colors, branding, all of that to use. Web development would come then after, and that will be essentially building out your website ready for your customers to actually use. So why does your business need to pay attention to web design? There are currently 5 billion internet users worldwide, and that's a really big audience, which also means there's a lot of competition from other businesses when trying to stand out in the online space. Your business website needs to be designed in such a way that it's useful, informative, and engaging for audience. It should showcase your product or services in the best way possible, whether that's through things like portfolio. So some website designs will include portfolio pages that will basically showcase like previous work, services, things like that, or whether that's putting your best sort of, if it's an e-commerce website, then putting your best kind of most popular products at the forefront on the page as well. The message of a business or brand can be effectively communicated through smart web design that incorporates engaging text, imagery, video content. If your website is lacking in design, it's not going to get a lot of visitors, which means less traffic and a reduced amount of potential sales. Having an established online website that users can visit may help your business in quite a few ways. So it's really important that when it comes to web design, it's not a decision that you take lightly, whether you design things yourself, use templates, or even hire out an agency to help you with the work as well. The nature of your business will influence how your website is designed, and there are actually different types of web design. It doesn't all fall under the one umbrella. Depending on what business you provide to customers, some aspects of the website need to be highlighted more than others. One type of web design is something called responsive web design. Responsive web design ensures that your website works across various mobile, desktop, or tablet devices. So for example, this is a desktop view, but if you were to change to a mobile view, you'll notice it looks slightly different. All the content is the same, however, everything is laid out slightly differently, as not everything in the desktop view will fit in the mobile view the way it's laid out in mobile. Things tend to kind of stack on mobile as well. Visual elements will kind of automatically resize to fit the user's window, and eliminates the need for kind of dedicated mobile pages or compromising your design to suit different devices. Here at ProfileTree, we implement responsive design across all of our website build. It's one of the leading web design agencies in Northern Ireland, and we have extensive experience of creating attractive and websites that work seamlessly kind of across devices as well. Another type of web design is custom web design. So custom web design is a popular option for business websites that need really bespoke functionality, complex branding, leading performance. With custom web design, you can maximize the speed and security of your website business. Custom web design also embeds SEO practices which align with Google's core Web Vitals algorithm update, and it proves to be a successful method for beating competitors on search engine result pages as well. A fully custom website offers a lot more flexibility than a website builder or a template-based platform, and it's ideal for larger organizations or businesses that receive large volumes of traffic. This tends to be a little bit more of a costly web design option, so something to keep in mind when you are deciding what kind of web design to go for and who you're hiring out. If it's something that is definitely that you can budget for, then definitely it's one to consider. Then you have e-commerce web design. So if you're an online retailer, you need a website that embeds e-commerce design. Think of it like building an online store. Products should be displayed clearly and engage the visitor. Website navigation should be smooth, and the checkout process should be simple and uncomplicated. Different parts of e-commerce design includes CRO elements, visuals, calls to actions, website navigation, the checkout process, upselling opportunities. People also bought features, reviewing features. Effective e-commerce website design is critical, and choosing the right web design agency or the right e-commerce template can make or break your online business. Ineffective web design can significantly impact both your ability to reach and sell to new/existing clients and customers. Then you've got B2C web design. So B2C web design, otherwise known as business to customer web design, focuses on the target audience and how they respond to different design elements. Customer research is a very crucial part of any web design project. At ProfileTree, we undertake customer research and embed findings into the website design and CRO-friendly navigation. All of our B2C web design projects are fully revenue focused. Your website is essentially your digital business card, and it's the center of how you do web business as well. Then you've got B2B web design, so business to business web design, and it's different significantly from websites targeting the general public. Business customers have different needs compared to typical customers, and their purchasing decision-making processes are very different to customers' purchasing decision process. B2B websites make much more rational decisions, so they often require much more educational content and a website design that highlights the key benefits of products or services, and things like that. So when it comes to web design, people opt to hire our agencies to help them with this. Agencies will have web designers that are trained and knowledgeable to design your website exactly how you want it, and exactly that'd be good for not only users but also for search engines. A web designer essentially will design your website, and they are responsible for what's known as the front end of a website. The front end of a website is essentially what the visitors will actually see. Things like the color, text, imagery, video layouts, any features like search bar, navigations, things like that. They are basically responsible for the overall appearance of your website, and this role differs from that of a web developer who's concerned with the website's back end, and this is things like the coding, the actual build of the website, security, the functionality. Web designers and web developers collaborate to create an engaging and easily navigated and attractive website. They are different, but they're very important to the process, and each requires a different set of skills. Web designers can create bespoke websites that portray your brand in the best possible way. And web design companies will be responsible for the success of your project, but they will also have an impact on the future of your business. Therefore, it's really important that you don't take this process of hiring a website design agency lightly. You should view a web design firm as one of your marketing partners. The web design firm or the marketing agency you choose to work with will design your website, and this website will play a major role in your company's success regarding your online marketing goals and objectives. Whether you're having a new website designed from scratch or having major design changes made to your existing website, your hiring decision will determine the website's success. There's loads of website design agencies out there. Whether you're searching for a web design firm online or locally, you can get sort of overwhelmed with the task of choosing the right firm for your business. If you want to make the best choice, it's important that you have a thorough hiring process, and you should treat the process of choosing a web design company the same as the process of hiring an employee, essentially. Therefore, you should do interviews, request portfolios, check references, and review the performance results of different web design companies. Here at ProfileTree, we're a web design agency and a marketing agency. We offer a range of services and details, and these on the following pages. Share some questions that you should ask a web design agency, and some of the best or more relevant questions that we've been asked as a leading web design company. So one thing that you want to ask them is cost of their services. So how much will the services cost you? If you are hiring a web design company, you will be paying for a professional service. You can expect to work with an entire team of experts to help you plan, develop, design, and manage your project. So the type of questions you want to ask are: who will be working with you on the project? What are the qualifications of your team members? How much time will each team member dedicate to the project? Will you pay a flat price for the project? Will the flat price be decided beforehand? Is the cost of the project reasonable for the service that you're going to be receiving? And you want to know if you'll be charged for any extra features outside of the scope of the project. The cost of the service is definitely something that you want to keep in mind, because obviously it all depends on what your budgeting is, and it's good to get an amount of different kinds of web design agencies, and then just see what they're offering and how much they're charging for that as well. Another question that you want to ask is what is the track record of the web design firm? So while it's important for you to know how much the web design firm will cost you, you also want to know whether the web design firm is reliable in the first place. The last thing you want is to lack confidence in the team handling your project. So if you pick a web design with a good firm with a good track record, you can expect a good return on investment for the project. And the questions that you want to ask are: what clients have the web design firm worked with in the past? What results has the firm delivered for these clients? Is there data available to prove the results of the firm? Does the firm have any repeat clients, and things like that? Some other research that you can do on your own is go onto the web company's website themselves and look for any kind of like portfolio page where they talk about previous projects that they've done, and read into those as well. A good web design company will have a showcase of projects that they've worked on before, and they can talk about what they did and how the result has been for the user and things like that. So it's a good way to kind of figure out for yourself what the track record of the firm is as well. Another way you can figure out the track record is if there's any kind of reviews as well for the web design firm. On some web design companies, you will find reviews on the website itself, but it's better to get reviews off something like Google or Trustpilot, as the ones on websites is something that they can control. So obviously some web design companies will only have sort of the best reviews that they get, whereas the ones on Google and the ones on Trustpilot, it'll be all the reviews that they get. So even just typing the name of the firm into Google, and you want to look for something like the Google reviews here, and you can click into it and look for reviews that previous clients have left them, and you can see sort of what went right, anything that went wrong, who they've worked with, things like that. And obviously the more reviews that they have, the better it would be, and then you know sort of the firm that you're hiring is reliable or not reliable as well, because you're basing this off previous people who have used their services as well. So it's a really good way to figure out what the track record of a web design firm is as well. Next thing you want to ask is, how does the web design firm measure its results? So when evaluating the results of a web design firm, you should know how the firm measured the results in the first place. This information will provide you with the context necessary to properly evaluate the firm's results. Things like, does the firm measure its results in terms of keyword rankings, bounce rate, conversions, or traffic? Have the clients themselves verified the results? Are the results published publicly? Is there data to support and substantiate the results of the firm? You definitely want to make sure that you are confirming this, because then you can gauge for yourself once the project is done whether or not you've got the results that you actually want. Another thing that you want to ask them is, what core services does the web design offer? So you should work with a web design firm that has the talent and ability to effectively manage and complete your project. No aspect of your project should be neglected. So therefore, you need to know whether the firm you choose to work with will be able to meet your expectations when it comes to design, to not only design, but marketing and development as well. Some questions that you want to consider asking are, is the web design firm able to offer development, marketing services, and comprehensive design that meets industry standards? Is the firm capable of developing a mobile app that is consistent with all of the marketing platforms of the brand? Does the firm have experience with custom projects that require advanced coding and the ability to problem solve? And are they able to develop mobile applications that are consistent with all of the brand's marketing platforms? Another thing that you can check for is, does the firm have any qualifications or credentials? The web design firm you hire should be well respected in the web design industry. Is the firm viewed as a thought leader? Does the firm have a good track record for client satisfaction? Does the web design firm have the authorization to work with government agencies? What special credentials does the web design have? Things like that. Before you hire a web design firm as well, you should also have a good idea of the firm's operation. So one thing that you can ask is also, what is the operation of the web design firm like? So take the time to visit the firm's operation, meet the people who will be working with you on your project face to face, speak to everyone there, and you want to understand things like, does the firm employ professionals full time? Does the firm rely on the independent contractors or outsourcing for its projects? Are the staff members experienced, skilled, trustworthy? Do you get a good vibe from staff members? And things like that. And you want to know if the operation of the web design firm is efficient. Is the operation of the firm compatible with the operation of your own business as well? So you can get a better understanding of how they work. This can give you a bit more of an expectation of what to expect in terms of client communications, handling of your project, and things like that. You also want to make sure that the web design firm ensure the project is executed well, and you can ask them how they will ensure that as well. You want to hire a web design firm that will follow coding standards to a T. Therefore, you should know how the web design firm will ensure that your project is executed properly and as intended. Things like, will you own the work the web design firm produced? Will you have complete access to the work, or will you need to pay a licensing fee to use that work? Other things like, does the agreement state that the web design firm will do the coding according to all industry standards? And does the agreement promise that the work will be customized appropriately for whatever your needs are? It's also good to understand how large the company is and what is the structure of the company. A team that is small might cause you to encounter issues with the completion of your project. Some issues you can run into is due to a lack of small team, is due to like delays, company closures, and the lack of adequate experiences. However, if you're working with a team that is excessively large, inefficiency and lack of personal care or service are potential issues as well. Therefore, it's really important that you are aware of the size of the web design firm. You can ask things like, how does the firm go about planning and developing a website? Is the methodology appropriate for your project? Is there a manager that will walk you through the entire process of completing the project? Are you confident that the web firm is stable enough to provide your business with excellent service in the future for maintenance, edits, and scaling to account for growth? And will they plan your business based on the goals and objectives you have for your business? Another thing you want to ask is, how does the web design firm staff individual projects? So in order to build a website, a professional team, an experienced project manager, and concrete objectives are necessary. So a team for a web design project requires web designers for the user interface, information architects to plan out the website, web developers for coding, quality assurance, engineers for testing, and online marketers to create an effective strategy for online marketing. The entire team should work under a project manager's guidance to ensure that the project's successful. So things that you want to ask is, how big is the team working on your project? Who will be accountable for your project? Will you receive updates on the status of your project? How frequently will the team communicate with you? Will you play a role in leading the project? And will the team look to you to guide them? As well as all those things, you also want to make sure if the company is financially stable. You want a web design firm that is financially stable to manage your project. That way you will have someone to turn to in the future when you want edits or maintenance. If a company is not financially stable, it may not be around when you actually need them. So you want to ask things like, who is the owner of the company? Who are the key officers of the company? Is the team motivated to do a good job on all the projects? What is the financial strength of the company? Will the company be able to survive without projects for an extended period of time? Ideally, your new website should help you achieve the objectives and the goals you have for your business. Therefore, it's really important that you select a good web design firm to help you with your project. Don't hesitate to contact us for more information about questions you should ask before hiring a web design firm. And as ever, don't ever forget the add-on services that you may require. So as an SEO agency, or hiring a media buyer, developing a marketing strategy for products or services, and finally how to perform market research as well. All those things are really important to making sure that you get the most out of the services and the most out of your web design firm as well. And the most out of the money that you're spending to get this good web design, and also the online strategy to follow after it. While hiring an agency to help you with your web design and development can be very valuable, you may still be hesitant to hire, as maybe you're unsure if a website is something you truly need, or maybe it's not quite in your budget yet. Another alternative is to use ready-made website web templates instead. Platforms like Wix and WordPress have a range of templates for you to select from. Most are well designed, optimized for mobile, and can be customized to your own branding. This might be better suited when you are first starting out with a website, as while some themes and templates are paid, it still works out far cheaper than hiring out an agency, but be prepared as most of the work will be dependent on your own time and your skill set. So starting off with one of the platforms that you can use to help design your website, Wix is one of them. Wix is a online website builder. It's essentially used for people who want to build their own website but maybe don't have a lot of technical experience. There's no coding required, and the great thing about Wix is that it comes with hundreds of free templates for you to kind of pick from, and essentially have Wix design your website for you. The way Wix works is that it will ask you about yourself, your business, your logos, things like that, and then it will essentially design and build the website out for you. And once you have the website built out, then you can also go in and change some of the branding, the colors used, change up some of the layouts, so it's not like fully set in stone. There is some customizations to it. Apart from that, you can also select from one of their many different templates that they have, as well with their Wix Editor as well. So it's another alternative to hiring out a web design agency. Instead, you can go in, create a free Wix account, and start building out your website, start designing your website how you want to. There are some costs involved, and we'll get into that, but overall it would be slightly less than how it would be if you were to hire from an independent web design agency or an independent sort of designer as well. So the first thing that you want to do whenever you are building a Wix website is create an account. So when you go on Wix.com, you should be able to click the Get Started button and just type in your email and your password again, and just click Sign Up. You can also continue signing up with Google or Facebook if you have those details anyway. Once you're all logged in, you'll be taken to the My Sites dashboard, so you can create a number of Wix sites with your Wix account, and they'll be all saved in your My Sites dashboard. To create a new site, what you want to do is click on Create New Site. And the way Wix works is that it will ask you a few questions about your website, the kind of website that you're wanting to create, the kind of business that you have, and what kind of functionality, and it would essentially build the majority of your website for you. So with what kind of website are you creating, you can do sort of online store, portfolio, blog, consultant, things like that. You can also just search for an example as well if one of the examples don't work, but there's loads of ones to choose from. And you would just need to pick one from one of the options. And then you just want to give it a name. You just want to name your store. And this is where the functionality comes in. So as I mentioned before, Wix has a number of functionality platforms that comes with their websites that you can decide on choosing to add on your website. The most popular being blogs, online store, forms, bookings, things like that. So all of these are essentially additional functionality that you can add to your website. So you can choose more than one functionality. If you know, for example, you want an online store and you also want a blog, that's totally fine. Just remember that the more functionality that you do add, the more storage space you're going to need on your Wix website. And Wix does have, again, their own hosting, and you'll need to use that. But obviously the more storage that you need, the higher your hosting cost will be. But again, we'll go over that just later in the video. But yeah, you just want to go through and just see exactly all the functionality that they offer and whichever one that you need. In this example, we'll add an online store and a blog, but you can also add a chat functionality. So in some websites, you'll see a little chat box appear. So if you want people to be able to submit inquiries that way, you can have that as well. Booking functionality, events, video, forms, things like that. And don't worry about selecting everything all at once in the beginning. If in the beginning you just want to have a blog, but later on you're going to add a store, you can always add the store later on. So if you don't select this online store now, you can always add it later on, and that goes for all the functionality that you have currently. It doesn't all have to be added here. Everything can be added later on, and things can be removed later on as well. So if you decide to add, for example, the online store, and then later on you realize actually you don't want to be selling things online, or you're not ready to be selling things online just yet, you can always remove that from your site as well. So it's very easy to kind of manage and customize things the way you want it to. So you just select what kind of functionality that you want, and you just click next. Or you can skip it completely. And then it'll ask you to start setting up your store. So you can either start setting up your store by adding your products, your business tools, analytics, or you can start designing your site. And there's two ways to design a site. You can either start with a template and customize that template, or you can let Wix create a site for you. And they do that by asking you as many questions as possible, and then essentially build out your site. And again, once the site is built out, it's not like set in stone. You can update things like removing sections, update images, update the theme, colors, fonts, things like that. This is usually the best option if you are maybe under a tight deadline, or you are wanting sort of Wix to do most of the work for you and you just kind of change things here and there. It's usually the quicker option as well, and they do a really good job sort of building out your site and customizing layouts and things like that. So we'll just click on Get a Custom Build Site. And it'll ask for some information about your business. So it'll ask for your logo, email address, phone, social accounts, things like that. If you click on logo, it'll ask you to sort of add your own logo onto the site. And you can either skip this information if you don't have it currently, or you can just click next to move on. And then it'll ask you to pick a theme that you like. So don't worry if there's not a theme that you like specifically here. Pick the one that you like the most, or that's closest to your current theme, because you can always change the colors used, you can always change the fonts used as well. And then once you're done, you just click on next, or you can skip it completely as well. Next, it's going to start preparing your homepage designs. So essentially, it'll show you 3 homepage designs, and you can pick which one you like the most. Again, don't worry about if the template doesn't look exactly how you want it. Pick the one that's closest to the layout that you like and that you want. And then you can always sort of edit sections. You can change the images. You can remove sections. You can add more sections if you need to. Things like that. So you see you've got 3 sort of homepage layouts here. If you hover over them and then scroll, you can sort of scroll down and see the full page. If there's certain sections that you don't like, don't worry about it. Those can be removed. And you can also swap around some sections. You can build your own sections as well. That's also an option. But this way, it kind of gives Wix an idea on how you'd like your website to look. And then kind of build out the rest of the pages of your site as well. So you just pick one that you like as much as possible, and then go in and edit anything that you need afterwards. And the next thing that it'll ask you is to add pages to your site. So these are pages that are already built. They just need to be updated with your input, whether that's your colors, whether that's your content, images, things like that. Don't worry about the amount of pages that are there. You don't have to add all these pages, and if there's more pages that you need to add that's not there, you can always add your own pages later. This will just help you build out the site a little bit and give it a bit more content. So you're not starting off with a fully blank slate. You've got something there to work with that you can change up and add your own kind of info onto it. So you can add things like the store policies page, if you have one, if you know you're going to have an about page, if you know you're going to have a contact page. When it comes to building your website, even for simple brochure build websites, the kind of pages that you want are sort of information pages, and you want to have enough pages for people to kind of sit and explore. So obviously you'll have your home page, which is one of the most important pages on your website. It tends to be the first page that people kind of will see on your website. And then it's good to have things like an about page as well, so people have somewhere to read more about yourselves, read more about companies and your policies, things like that. If you are a e-commerce website, then you want to have a store policies page and policies in general, so anything about your shipping policy, return policy, all of that. You want to have a separate page dedicated to that and make it really easy for people to look for that. That's a really popular type of page to have. You also want to make sure that you have a contact page. So no matter what kind of website you have, having a contact page is crucial, because if there is anything that the user wants to inquire about, ask about, you want to have a way for them to contact you, whether that's adding in your phone number, adding in your email, or even if you don't want to add details like that, you want to have like a simple form where they can submit an inquiry, so that they know that there is some help if they need it. And it's a good way to kind of get leads as well, and kind of interact with your customers as well. So you want to make sure at the very least you have your contact us, but it's always good to have a phone number and an email as well on there. Other things that you can have is an FAQ page, so that's also a really good way to kind of add a bit more content to your site, but also if there are like very common questions that you get sent in your contact page or get asked a lot, then you can have an FAQ section as well. People will tend to kind of click on those kind of pages before submitting an inquiry, so if you have like common inquiries listed there, then that should be fine. And then once you're done, you just click Edit Site. And essentially your site is built exactly how we've seen it before, and you can sort of go through and navigate things exactly how you need to. So this is the Wix site editor. So this is your site now in edit mode, so you can see when I hover over things, and essentially this is how I will edit different sections. And on the left here you have the actual console, and this is where you'll add things like you're adding sections, adding elements, and you can add apps. So apps is essentially the functionality that we talked about. So you have the their e-commerce apps, which is called Wix stores. They also have the forums, bookings, blog, all of that. These are all apps basically. If you click into that, it's the app market, and there's so many apps that Wix has, not just for their own platforms, so like they have their own sort of Wix bookings, blog, things like that, but they also have ones by third-party members as well, third-party companies as well. Some of them paid, some of them free, but all used to kind of enhance your site and make it add a bit more functionality. There's loads of like dropshipping apps if you wanted to have dropshipping on your site. Lots of integration with like Spocket, Easy Ship, and things like that. So the Wix app market is a really good way to go if there are third-party platforms that you want to add to your Wix site. But yeah, this is essentially your Wix site, and the way it kind of works is everything is essentially an element, and if you click into an element is how you will change it. So for example, this is a heading element here, and if I wanted to change it, I will click into it, and you can see I have edit text to edit the text, whether that's to edit the actual content or edit the actual text settings in terms of like what font's being used and what's sizing is being used. When you first start off with the Wix website, they have a Wix uses a color theme. So the way color themes works is that every single element type for headings and text and colors have their own style settings. For example, this is our site settings, and all of your so for heading 1, your heading 1s all follow this style setting. Heading 2 follow this style setting, heading 3 follow these style settings. They all have different font sizes, and some of them have different font colors. It just means then you are not constantly adding a heading and then changing the colors and sizes so that it matches the rest. You have them all set up in your Wix Color Theme palette, and it just means there's a lot more consistency across the board in terms of colors and the text as well. So when you first build out your site and they've built it out like this, the first thing that you want to do is go into the color site design and go into site theme, and you want to basically edit the colors and text so that they fall into your own branding. If the branding, the colors and text that they already use you like and they work with the branding that you have, or if you don't have one and you want to use it, that's totally fine. All of this is yours and free to use. But if you go into this and you realize actually you want to change the font on all of them, you want to change the colors, then that's the first thing that you want to do. So when you go into colors and text, the first thing that you want to do is click on colors to change the colors being used. So when it comes to their site design, Wix has 5 different colors, and each color type is used for different things. So for example, color 1 is used for background and text across your site. If you've added Wix apps like the stores and the blog, those pages will use the same kind of background colors and text. So in most cases, you'll see that the brightest tint, which is color 1, is used for the background, while the darkest tint, which is this color here, is used for the text. So you want to make sure that you have, when you are setting this up, that you're using a high contrast pairing so that the information on your site is really easy to read. So you've got the color 1 here, and then you've got the color tints here as well. So color 1 is for backgrounds and text. Color 2 is an action color. So action colors are kind of used to drive visitors to make choices that you want by selecting an action color that kind of stands out. And this color is for essentially actionable elements like links, buttons, menu elements, anything clickable, boxes, and it appears it also is being used by Wix apps like stores and blogs and things like that. And it's the tint in the middle that's used most frequently. So you want to make sure that when you're choosing it, you're choosing one that contrasts with your background color. And that just means the most important elements on your site are actionable and noticeable. And colors 3, 4, 5 are additional colors. So these are essentially 3 additional colors that you can use to kind of complement your color scheme. And they're displayed in various places around your site, so they should match and complement the other colors that you've selected. So that was the color theme, and now you want to go into the text theme as well. So When it comes to text, you have 9 different text types. You've got the 6 headings, and then you've got 3 different paragraph types. So you have a sort of range to choose from whenever you're adding different text. You've got like sort of different styling options. You might decide actually that the fonts that they're using doesn't work with your branding. So what you want to do is click into the heading type, and then you want to go into fonts, and then choose one from the many fonts that Wix has, and just pick whichever one that you have. You can also change the font sizing as well. And once you change something here, this will change across your site. So all the heading 1s will follow this styling, all the heading 2s will follow another styling, things like that. So you want to make sure that you get this accurate the first time around, so that when it comes to adding more headings and adding more text across your site, you're not changing it constantly. It's very easy to kind of change it as well, if you ever needed to. And you can also change things like the formatting. So if you want to change like the character line spacing, you can for each of them. And then if you have the italicized things, bold things, you can also change the color of things as well if you wanted to. And then once you're done, you just click on Change Text Theme, and you can see already the theme has already changed text-wise. So there's not a lot of things that you need to do anyway. You just need to change everything, and then everything changes for you. So you'll see there's kind of different ways to change things on Wix. One of the things that you might decide to do is change the section heights. So you can see everything that is on Wix, like all the images, all the text, all those things, they're within its own section, they're within its own box. So you want to make sure that the box fits and is accurate to how you want it. So for example, this box here is quite large. So what I'm going to do is make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to click into the box and look for this little arrow here. And this arrow box will essentially allow you to adjust the header height. And then you can just click and drag that to how you want. So everything in Wix is click and drag, click and drop. So there's no coding required. Everything is sort of pre-coded for you, and you can just click and add different things as well onto your site. You'll see sort of grid lines appear, so you know that whenever you're moving things, it's being aligned to how it is on the site. So you can click and drag it. If I move this slightly to the middle, you can see I get the middle sign icon, so I know I'm putting this in the middle. And I'm just going to drag everything a little bit up, just to remove some of the spacing as well. And you can click and drag lots of different things. You might decide that, okay, you like the layout, but there's things that are missing. So for example, if we take this one and we drag it a little bit lower, and you realize actually I want to add another paragraph within here, then what I'm going to do is click and drag this bar and drag it a little bit down to make some space. You want to make room first before you add an element. Then what you're going to do is click on Add Elements, and you are going to essentially look for all the elements that they have. So the first one that you look for is text, and you can see these are all the text that we have. We've got all the heading 1s, heading 6, and they're already styled to how you want it. And we've also got the heading paragraph 1, 2, 3, and again those are styled how you want it. So all we need to do is click and drag the style of paragraph that we want and drag it on, and you can see I can just place it anywhere. And you're looking for that little notification that says attach to strip, so you know that you're placing it within a section, and you just click into that. And then all you need to do now is just move it around. You can change the width of the boxes, change the height of the boxes, make some space, add text, and then add text and edit the text how you want it as well. There's no need to edit the styling of the text because we've already done the styling before. In the theme palette, so all we need to do is just click on the text and add it to how we need to. So you might have seen when we click on add elements, there's loads of other elements to choose from. First of all, we have the text elements. They range from heading 1 to heading 6 and paragraphs 1 to 3, and we can style all of them in one go. There's also loads of image elements. When it comes to images, Wix have their own image library that they can use. So it's called Free Wix Images. If you click on to show more, and you're looking for essentially media from Wix. And media from Wix are essentially stock images that are free to use. So those things are kind of good for if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of images to use in the beginning. Instead of waiting for images to come in or leaving sort of like blank spaces for images to be put in, you can just put in some stock images for now and then update them later with your own images. When it comes to using stock images versus your own images, so sometimes it's not always possible to use your own images, but where possible, use as much of your own images as you can, especially if you're a service-based business. So if you offer services, you want to have pictures of people sort of using your service, using your products, and of yourself as well, to make it a bit more personable. Again, not always possible depending on what kind of business you're in. So stock images are fine, but just using your own images makes it a bit more personable, and not so generic basically. But again, these images from Wix are free to use, and what you can do is type in and search for the type of images that you want, and then just scroll through, search for the type of images that you want, and then click on add to page, and you can click that and drag it onto wherever you want on your page, and wherever looks good and things like that. If ever, when you're adding different elements and you ever need to remove an element, you can just simply click on the element that you want to delete, right click, and you'll see another menu pop up, and you can copy them, duplicate them, but you can also just simply delete them, and that'll remove it as well. And you can do this for sections as well. So if you don't like an entire section on your website, you can delete them. So for example, this strip here, highlight it. Make sure when you highlight it, you can see the blocks kind of be selected, so you know exactly what you're highlighting. Right click and just delete it. And then once you're done, you can just fix up the spacing, either remove spacing or replace it with something else, and then essentially just build up the site how you want it. Another really cool thing about Wix is the pre-made templates. So if you go into the add section, you can see there's loads of different sections that you can add, and these are essentially sections on the website that have already the elements added. So for example, in the welcome sections, if you wanted a section where it's just a new section with a new heading, paragraph and button, you just click into welcome section and then select the section that you want. And then for example, this one here, we like this kind of heading on the left, image on the right, so I'm going to click into that. And you see the section's already been added, so essentially we don't need to build our own sections, so we can just do pre-designed sections as well, but then we can completely customize this. So for example, this has a heading and a button, but maybe we want to also add some text as well. So we'll move this up, move the button down slightly, click on the add elements and look for the text element, and click and drag that over to the column that you want. So now we have a section that looks exactly how we want it, but we didn't build it fully from scratch. So that's the great thing about kind of Wix, is that it's all kind of drag and drop built for you. So again, when it comes to building out your website and you're someone who doesn't have a lot of technical experience, but you still want to be able to build it yourself and not sort of hire out another company, Wix is a really good option for that, because a lot of things are kind of done for you, and you can still customize it to exactly how you want things. And it's also free as well to use, depending on what hosting plans that you use. Another few things just to know about Wix is you can update everything on mobile as well. So it's really important when you're building a site that is optimized for mobile. A lot of people nowadays, most of websites are being accessed by a mobile device or a tablet device. So it's really important that everything looks good and is optimum on that as well. So right now this is desktop view. But if you wanted to switch to mobile view and see what that looks, you can go into the top toggle here, click on switch to mobile. And you can see everything just kind of stacks in general. The way mobile view works is it'll do its best to kind of stack, but you might need to sort of change the layout slightly in terms of moving things up and down, adding in some more spacing. So for example, this section here, there's it's quite tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase the height of that section and then bring a few things away from the top and bottom so that it's a bit more spacing as well. What's cool about Wix is that when you are switched on to mobile version, things that you can change will only stay on mobile. So the spacing that we have, the size of the sections, all of that is changed on mobile. It's not going to affect the spacing on desktop. You'll notice there's some things that you can't change, so you won't be able to change like font colors or anything like that. It's really just spacing and section heights as well. And what you can also do is hide certain sections on mobile. So if you wanted to, for example, maybe hide either like maybe this image here, what you can do is select the image that you want and click on hide section from mobile, and that'll hide the entire section that it's in. If you ever wanted to find it again, go into the layers panel and you can find it here, but it'll also show you in this tab here. So hidden on mobile, it'll show you what's currently hidden on mobile. So we've hid that strip section. We can just click on show to show it again. So you can kind of play around with sort of layouts, and you can play around with layouts, and you can play around with the space hiding as well. But it just means then you have control over mobile as well, and make sure that all of your pages are optimized on mobile. When you are building your site, what you should do is take one page at a time, get one page perfect, and then once the page is perfect on desktop, switch to mobile and just adjust the spacing and height sections to how you need it. You can also leave it all to the end, so build the entire website out on mobile and then come back and build the entire site out on desktop and then go back and fix it on mobile. Some people prefer to do one or the other. It might just be better just to keep on mobile one at a time, because it's really important to get the mobile done right as well and not rush it. And then once you're done, just switch back to mobile view, and that's it. And the next thing that you want to do is make sure that you save. So right now, when you click save, your site isn't published. When a site is published, it's essentially available for Google to scan and index and all things like that. So when you click publish, your site is essentially live on the website. And this is where you need to think about sort of the hosting. So Wix have a fully free version, which means that once you've built your site, you can literally click publish and that's it. That's your site ready to be shared online on your social media pages, to be given to people, things like that. But there are some caveats to it, and the main thing with using the free version of Wix is that you're not going to have the custom domain. So what that means is, obviously with domain names you can have your own ones when it comes to websites, so whatever your business name is, it's usually the name of your domain as well. But with Wix's free version, the domain is essentially the name of your website, but it's using Wix's URL. So for example, this website here is using the free version. If I were to click publish, this URL here, so this is my account name .wixsite.com / the name of my business. That's essentially the domain name that's going to be linked on, that's going to be linked on social media, that's going to be linked on the website and on Google and things like that. And the reason why this is not great is because it's not very professional. And it's not very easy to remember. People aren't going to remember that long URL and remember to type healthy mind at the end of it. It's really important that the domain name that you pick is easy to remember, is catchy, is your business name and things like that. However, there is obviously limitations to that. Obviously you would need to increase your storage plan. You would need to actually buy the domain and then buy an actual Wix hosting plan. But if your main intention is just to get a website out there, just to get a link out there, and just have some information out there while you are getting sorted with maybe domains, or maybe if you want to have a more custom site built, then this is still an option. You can still have the site live just with that main domain as well. To talk a little bit more about Wix's hosting plans, it's on their website here, and Wix's hosting plans are really split between two, but there are 3 different kind of hosting plans. There's website plans, business and e-commerce plans, and then there's enterprise plans. The enterprise plans isn't so much of a plan, it's more if your website is very, very custom, needs a very specific amount of storage and things like that, you can request a call with Wix, and you'll talk to an actual person, and they'll be able to tell you exactly what kind of hosting requirements you'll need, and be able to give you sort of custom pricing. So it's really good that you at least have that option. If you ever did decide to go for a Wix site, you have the option of having a more custom hosting plan to really make sure that you have your needs all met. But then the other Wix plans that they have are website plans and business and e-commerce plans, and these are kind of plans that already have features within them, and you would pick from out of them as well. So with the website plans, it's really for your basic brochure build websites that don't have maybe a lot of functionality. If you've got the blog section, that's great. If you've got forms, all of that will kind of fall into website plans. And they've got 4 different ones. Then you've got the business and e-commerce plans. So if you have an online store, if you have a booking functionality or an events functionality, any kind of functionality where you're accepting payments online, you're wanting to accept payments online, then you would need to go for one of the business and e-commerce plans. Using the website plans won't cut it. It's important to note that with the website plans tend to be a lot cheaper than the business and e-commerce plans, but again, it's if you are accepting payments online, it's definitely something that you would need to select. But just going back to the website plans, so obviously we've seen like the free version, the way it looks and how it works. You're fully able to build everything and use all the features as well. Nothing is limited to your free hosting plan. But as you remember, the domain is not custom. It's using Wix's domain with your business name, with your site name at the end of it. The cheapest plan is the Connect domain. It's the most basic domain. So what that means is you can buy a domain. You can buy a domain from Wix, or if you already have a domain bought, you can also connect that domain. But it will basically allow you to connect your custom domain. So your site will look exactly how it is, but it will be at the custom domain that you set. The only reason why I wouldn't recommend this plan is that this plan does contain Wix ads. So you will see Wix ads being placed at the top of your site, and this can put a lot of people off. It doesn't look very professional. But again, if this is just your site starting out and it's not in the budget currently, it is something that you can sort of switch back later. And come back and switch hosting plans afterwards. So it's not the worst plan to get. Definitely I would recommend having a Connect domain and not leaving it as a free plan, so then having your own domain there. But it is £4 a month, and you do get the Wix ads. Then you've got the combo, and this is more for personal use, and this will give you the custom domain, and it will also remove all the ads. This might be a better option price wise. It's the second cheapest, although right now there is currently an offer for the unlimited and the VIP, but usually it's the second cheapest option out there. And you get the custom domain, and you also get something called the free domain for 1 year. So if you haven't purchased a domain yet, you can buy a domain through Wix when you purchase a plan, and it'll be free for 1 year. So that's a really good offer to kind of think about, especially if you haven't got a domain yet. So you get the you get the custom domain, and you get to remove the Wix ads. The main difference between the combo, unlimited, and the VIP, because all these 3 will give you a custom domain and all of these 3 will remove the ads, are the bandwidth. So essentially, how much speed that bandwidth will be allocated to your website, and the more bandwidth that is allocated to your website, the faster your website will be. And the storage space as well. So as your website grows, in the beginning you might not need a lot of storage space, but as your website grows you might need more and more. If you add more products, if you add more imagery, if you add more blogs, all of that will contribute to essentially a bigger sized website. And if you don't have the amount of storage space allocated, it can lead to sort of a slower website, and you'll have storage issues as well. So that's really the main difference between all of these, and also video hours. So if you can add videos onto your site as well, so how many hours of videos can be streamed on your website, that's also the main difference as well. In the beginning, you can start off with even just the combo. Again, if you're a small website, if you're just a small brochure build, even if it is a small e-commerce store, the 2 GB bandwidth and the 3 GB storage space should be enough in the beginning to support you. What's really good about the hosting plans is that they're not permanently set up. If you can decide to use a hosting plan maybe for 1 year or a few months, and if you realize actually you don't need that much storage, or you actually do need more storage, you can always switch to a higher hosting plan or downgrade to a lower hosting plan. So you do have some flexibility there. It doesn't always have to be set in stone that way. And the other difference between these three is the customer care. So all of the plans that you get, even the Connect domain, even the free version, you get the 24/7 customer care, and that just means that users are able to essentially contact Wix support for any issues that they're having, whether that's with the actual website builder itself, your account settings, any billing issues, things like that. You can contact Wix with the 24/7 customer care. And the priority customer care, just you get that with the VIP only. That just means they'll get it to you a little bit faster. And you only get that with the VIP plan. The way to submit a ticket is if you go on back to your dashboard. And you'll see in the bottom right hand corner there's a little question mark. So this was essentially the chat box, the Wix chat box, and you can basically first go through the chat box, and what they'll do first is try and give you some tutorials online. They have lots of documents online out there to help with any kind of common issues that you might have. So you'll see there, so they'll find sort of solutions that might be helpful. You can go through each of them and see if they work for you. If not, you can just click it's something else, and you can request a callback, or you can start a live chat, and it'll give you an approximate time of how long you'll have to wait. But essentially, they will, if you start a live chat, then you can immediately start talking to someone and explaining your issues, and the live chat will be within this help center here. Or what you can do is request a call back, and you basically give them the number that you want them to call back on, and they will call you within whatever time that they give you, and you can speak to an actual person about whatever issue it is that you're having. So they have really good customer support, and you get that with all of the plans that you have, including the free one. You can talk to an actual person, and someone will be able to explain to you how to fix whatever issue that you're having, or if you have any questions, they'll be able to answer your call as well. So if you remember with the plans, you get 24/7 customer care on all your plans, and then the VIP you get priority customer care, which means they'll just get back to you a little bit faster, but in all plans they will get back to you anyway. Again, keep an eye out for the sales, because they do a lot of limited time only deals basically. So while the combo is usually the cheapest, the unlimited is actually $5.50 a month right now, which is only a little bit more expensive than the Connect domain. So you can basically have that for a few months before you decide to switch over if you ever need that. So that was the basic website plans, and if you go into business and e-commerce plans, there's 3 different plans. All of them are slightly more expensive than the normal website plans, but again, it's needed if you are wanting to accept online payments. So all of these plans include all of the features on the normal website plan, so the custom domain, free domain, or well, depending on which plan that you use. So all of them include the custom domain, free domain. All of them will remove ads. All of them have a higher amount of storage and bandwidth as well, because it is an online store that would require a little bit more. The main difference between all of them is mainly the storage space and the video hours as well. So depending on how big your site is, you might start off with the basic, and as you grow you'll move on to the VIP or unlimited, or you might start off with the VIP just to see how it is and then downgrade later, or you might find that the plan that you choose initially is exactly how you want it. These are the most basic features that they have, but if you scroll down you can see a lot more features that they have. If you click on show all features, this is essentially what they have, and you can go through them and see which plan actually suits you. If you're ever unsure of which plan that you need, again, if you go back to the support section on the website, on the dashboard, and just speak to an actual person, talk to them about what you're planning to do with the website, what the website's currently at right now, what features that you want and how you're wanting the website to perform. They'll be able to give you an idea on what plan would be best for you. But again, you can always try out a plan maybe for a month or a few months or a year, and then see how you feel about it. And then when it comes to renewing your plan, you can either downgrade to a more basic plan or upgrade to a more expensive plan with more features. But again, when it comes to support as well, you get the 24/7 customer care, and then the VIP will give you the priority customer care. Essentially, you go through and decide which plan that you want. Then you just want to click on select, and you then want to select a billing cycle. So all your hosting plans that are not like permanent, you need to select a billing cycle essentially. So you'll have a plan for either a year or 2 years or 3 years, or you can even do monthly. And then that way you can sort of test out the plan for a certain amount of time, and then decide whether or not you want to keep this or try something else. It's important to note though, if you do go for the monthly, you do miss out on the savings, and it'll show you what you don't include, especially the free domain. So if the domain is important to you, you need to make sure that you at least go for the yearly, and then you'll get the savings and you also get the free domain. But you will just click into whichever plan that you want, click continue to checkout. And then you just want to give your invoice details. So you want to give a credit card, and then your invoice details as well. And you'll see your plan summary here. So you'll get the 12 months, how much it is, you get 50% off, and then you just submit purchase, and that is your plan set up. And then once your plan set up, you can also buy a domain as well. You get that free domain voucher. It's really important to note that when your site is built with Wix, you have to use Wix hosting. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there's loads of hosting companies out there, but Wix websites will only run on Wix hosting, so you do have to pick one of these plans as an example. So what you might want to do is, before you even get started building your site, maybe take a look at the plans first, and see if what they offer and if their pricing works with your budget, if what they offer works with what you're wanting to have on your site. Because if you build the whole site and then later on when you come to this you realize actually none of this actually works, then you can't use that site anywhere else. You either have to use the free version, or you would need to buy one of the plans. So it's really important that you buy the plan first, or you look at the plans first, and then decide from there if you want to continue building your site with Wix or not. But again, loads of things to consider with that as well. So over here is your Wix dashboard. So this is, once you select a site, this is essentially what the site will look like on the back end. And there's a few things that you'll need to do on the back end to make sure that your site is fully optimized. Things like your store, your blog, if you have booking events, all of that is managed by on the back end of the dashboard. So the front end will display, so for example, your products. The front end of your site, so the website, will show all the products, but you need to add the products on the back end. So for example, you'll see under here you've got store products. If you click into store products, this will essentially your products dashboard, and you can see all the products that you currently have. You'll see like a basic kind of overview in terms of like the product name, images, pricing, inventory, things like that. And this is where you'll kind of manage your products, essentially add new products. And you can see with add products, you can add physical or digital products. If you click into each individual products, again, this is where you'll manage it. So you can change things like the product name, you can give it some product information like the product description, things like that, any additional information like the shipping information, things like that. Pricing is all here. So all of your actual product management, your store management, is done on the back end, and then they'll carry over in the front end. So once you add a product on the back end here and just click save, you then don't need to go into the front end and add it there. It just automatically adds it. As long as it's published and it's saved, it automatically adds it there as well. So you've got your product management here. Same with the blog. So you've got the blog section here. If you click into blog, you'll be taken to the blog dashboard. So all of your posts will be here, and what you can do is click on create new post. So post is what they call blog post is essentially the same thing. And you will essentially just add your blog, same way how you add like sort of like Word doc, so you can type in the blog name, and then here you'll start writing your post, and you can add things like images and videos. So for example, if you were to add some text here, what we can do is also add maybe some images to break it up. We can add videos, all of that we can add to our blog. This whole editor here, it acts as almost like a Word doc. So you can add headings, you can add paragraphs and things like that, and type directly your blog exactly how you want it. And then once you're done, you just click on add to page for your image, and you can sort of play around with how the image looks, play around with the sizing, things like that, add links. It's really easy to kind of edit your blog. If you highlight some text, you can sort of change the formatting, change the text style. So for example, if we wanted to add, these are all paragraphs, but say we wanted to add a heading, we would just highlight the bit of text that we want to change into a heading. We change that to heading 2, and you see we've got a heading added. If you want to add links, we can highlight the text as well, add links, either a link to your own page or a link to external page, and just click save, so you know you've got the links as well in your blog as well. So it's really easy to kind of manage that, and again it works exactly how a Word doc editor is being edited. So very simple to kind of use. Once that's done, what you want to do is click on either save. So if you're not done with your blog just yet, you want to come back to it, you can always save to come back to it, or you can publish. But once you publish it, just to note, it will be live on your site. So similar how when you save a product, it automatically adds itself to the product pages and the shop pages on your website. Once you click publish, it'll be added to the blog pages of your website as well. So either you save it and come back to it and publish it another time, or you can just publish it immediately. But once you publish it, you just click publish and it's essentially live. And now when you go back into your posts section, you can see all of the blogs that you currently have as well. Anything in drafts, anything scheduled, anything pending review, is all managed here. So a lot of your site management will be done back end, and then the design layouts, that's done front end. This home section, so this is essentially your website dashboard. First thing that you'll see is your kind of website kind of overview. So it'll show what plan that you're on. So right now we're on the free plan. If you click on compare plans, it'll take you to the plan page that we've seen earlier to show you all the available plans. Then you've got the domain. So right now this is the domain that we have. If you click on connect domain, this will essentially allow you to purchase a domain from Wix, or you can connect a domain that you've already purchased elsewhere if you already have one. So for example, if we type in the domain that we want and click on let's go, it will either return as it's taken, or it'll be free to use. So if you have a domain that you've purchased elsewhere, then you still want to type in the domain in, and then what you want to do is click on yes, I own this domain, and then it'll go through instructions on how to connect your site to the domain that you already own. If it's a domain that hasn't been purchased yet, it'll say that it's available, and you just want to click on get it, and then it will basically show you how to buy the domain. It's very simple to buy purchasing a hosting plan. You want to basically select the registration period. So similar to hosting plans, you don't own a domain indefinitely. You register the domain for a certain number of years, and then as those years come to an end, you either have to re-register it to own the domain again, or let it expire. And then once the domain is expired, it is up for grabs for anyone. Anyone can purchase that domain. So you need to make sure that if it is something that you want to keep buying again, that you purchase the domain, you know whenever it's going to expire. You keep on top of your emails, because they do email you before your domain is about to expire, and then make sure that you purchase it again. And make sure that you purchase it again so that you have full access to it. But essentially you just want to pick the registration period. And again, there's more savings if you were to purchase for a longer amount of time, and you just click continue, and then you would just add all of your purchase information, things like that, and then just continue on to payment, and then you essentially own that domain. If you had purchased the plan first, then it will add the free domain voucher onto it, and then you can have a year free of your domain as well. So really important to know about that. Elsewhere on the homepage, it'll also show you then a checklist of what's left to do. So you have a store, things like setting up payment methods, delivery methods, and connecting a domain and things like that. So once you've set up your store, you also want to make sure you have the general settings set up. So if you go into settings, things like the e-commerce setting, accepting payments, language or region, website settings as well, you want to make sure that your website settings are all set up. These are things like your site name, your logo, general social share image, your Facebook link. You want to make sure you go through every single one of these sections, and that's essentially the admin part of your website done. And once all of that is done and dusted, then you can finally connect your domain to your website, and that is your website essentially live. So Wix is a really good option if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of the technical skill and you don't have the budget, or you're not wanting to hire out just yet for a very custom website. You can still create really beautiful websites with Wix, and you can still have mobile friendly and SEO optimized websites with Wix. It's a really good starting off point, and it's not like forever. If you later on, a few years down the line, as you grow and your budget increases, you can then move on to a more custom website, a better hosting plan, things like that. But it's a really good sort of starting off point if you're wanting to build your own website as well. But other than Wix, there are also other options out there, depending on your skill type as well. One of the options is actually Shopify, and this is mainly for if you have an e-commerce website. So Shopify is an e-commerce platform, and it is for businesses who are wanting to sell online. So if you're thinking about just a basic brochure build site, then Shopify probably isn't the best one for you. But Shopify is really good. It's one of the most popular e-commerce platforms out there. It's really good to start when you're first starting off your business and you're wanting to grow your business. They have 24/7 support, and their SEO and all their templates are fully optimized. Again, similar to Wix, they have lots of templates that you can use for your site. So if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of the technical background, design background, but you do want a site out there without for like a fraction of the cost, then Shopify would be a really good option as well. It is optimized for e-commerce, so you know that the support that you're getting will be good. You know that the platform itself is optimized for the specific functions, so this might be a better option than Wix, because it focuses specifically on the e-commerce platform. If you know that's going to be a big part of it, then this might be better. The only downside to Shopify is that there's no free version, or there's no free version to it at all. So if you remember from Wix, there is a free version that you can use when you're first starting out, but with Shopify there is a free trial that you can use, and the free trial will last about 3 months, but then after that you will need to purchase a plan in order to continue selling. So the way Shopify works is you go into shopify.com and then you just type in your email and you can start your free trial and just at least get started building off your site. Next, similar to Wix, it'll start asking you a few questions to get an understanding of your business, and that way they can set you up with an appropriate template, an appropriate format, and things like that. So the first thing that they'll ask you is which of these kind of best describes you, so whether or not you're just starting or if you're already selling, whether that's online or in person. And then it'll ask you where you'd like to sell. So obviously you'll have the online store, but then if you want to add a buy button to an existing website that you have, or if you want to sell to social media or online marketplaces like Google, Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, things like that, or in retail stores, you can. Again, you can pick as many as you like, and you can change these later. This is just to get an understanding of where else you're selling, and then it'll ask you to kind of let them know what kind of things that you're selling, whether that's services, dropshipping products, actual products, things like that. And it'll ask you if you have an online audience. You can choose to do all these questions, or you can decide to skip fully and then just set it up from scratch. and then it'll ask you for your store name, and it'll give you sort of like a temporary URL. This is just to start setting up a Shopify site, and then once your store is set up, you can either keep it or replace it with a custom domain. And then it'll ask where your business is located, and it'll ask you to essentially connect an account if you already have one. And finally, you have your store set up. This dashboard is very similar to the Wix dashboard in that you have the setup guide, you've got all your products in one go here, and then you've got your sale channels and your settings all here as well. And then the next thing that you need to do then is set up your actual online store. So just a reminder, this is your free trial. Shopify in general don't have any kind of free plan at all apart from the free trial. And then you can let you know whenever your free trial ends. So free trial is only for 3 days, and then you can decide to pick a plan afterwards. They do offer your first 3 months at £1, depending on what plan that you pick. So there is a sort of a good incentive there, so you can sort of continue on for just £1 if you wanted to, but it's at the end of the day not free. But to set up your online store, we'll do that first. You want to go into online store, and you want to go into themes. So with Wix, they kind of did up your template for you, and with Shopify, there's an entire theme library. So by default, you've got the Dawn theme that you can customize, but then they've also got several other themes as well. They've got loads of themes on their theme store, both free and paid, and you can go through each of the themes and look for whichever one that you really prefer. And then you can update this with your theme colors, you can update this with content, you can update this with your own imagery. Again, the theme is just there for you to set up a site and have some initial starting point. So you're not starting on a completely blank slate, you are starting from like a theme or a palette and things like that. Depending on which theme that you pick, there are free themes, but most of them are paid. You can use the filter on the side to kind of decide between which theme that you want. In terms of their pricing, again, depending on your budget, they might be a bit too much, or they might fit fine within your budget, but they're usually within the 200 to 400 range. So just something to keep in mind when you are picking a theme. Again, this might be cheaper than hiring out an agency and getting them to do it. So while there is a cost to it, it's still cheaper than if you were to go to an agency and ask them to design it for you. Other than that, their free themes are optimized for the website and SEO and mobile. All of their themes are, so it's not a big issue if you decide to have a theme, paid theme or not. You can try the theme or you can view a demo store, but to add the theme you just want to click on try theme, and it'll add that theme to your online store. So your theme's been added to your online store. Next thing that you want to do now is just to actually apply that theme. So once you have the theme added, what you want to do is click on Publish, and Publish will then actually allow Shopify to use that theme. So this theme will then replace the current Dawn theme, so you want to click on Publish. And now you have the Studio theme as your theme as well. So next thing you want to do is actually customize the theme, and this will essentially customize the theme and allow you to build out your site slightly. And you'll find this is very similar to the Wix editor, where you have the site in the middle here, and then on the left you have the actual builder. It's slightly different in that the elements are set up slightly differently, but the layout is still the same. So for example, if we scroll down and we wanted to add maybe another section, we can click on add section, and we can either add custom sections or we can add a section on the header as well. Shopify is slightly different to Wix in that you can add your own custom code. So if you are someone who has a little bit of a coding background and you're confident enough working with liquid themes, you can upload your own code and your own custom sections. If not, you can always add your own sections using Shopify's section here. So if I wanted to add another section under featured collections, we can add a pre-designed layout, whether that's a collage, a slideshow, maybe we want to add a custom code, things like that. For example, if we wanted to add a contact form, it's already kind of added and pre-styled for us. So we can do a lot with their own branding as well. And then within each of the text, we can click into the headings, for example, and then just click on heading to actually edit the text. And the main thing that you want to do is go through this home page, add whatever sections that you want to add, whether that's to the header or if you want to add it to the footer. And then just click on each of them and add, like replace the photos. For example, if you want to click on slideshow, you can click on the slides, we can add more slides, we can add more blocks, and you want to add your own photos, you want to add your own text, you want to add your own content, and really kind of change that and make this theme your own. When you click on an element, whether that's the slideshow or a heading, it's the right side where you can see what you're actually changing. If you were to change the contact form, you can see on the right side we can change like the color scheme, we could change the heading size, things like that. If we click on maybe the slideshow, you can see on the right there's different options that we have for that. So when you click on something, the editing feature is on the right side. You're not editing directly onto the product, and then to select an element, it's all on the left side, so it's very kind of split that way. You can switch between pages if you click on that. However, it's not as intuitive as Wix would be. So for example, if we click on pages and maybe go into the default page, for example, or even like the products page, we can add different sections, we can add different collages as well. Unlike with Wix, so with Wix you could create different, like your own sections. You had the option of pre-designed sections, but you could create your own section from a blank section and add elements to it. You don't have that option with Shopify. With Shopify, when you add sections, you're adding pre-designed sections, you're not adding like little elements as well. That's the only difference, that's the main kind of caveat with Shopify. When you're building an e-commerce website, that basic kind of e-commerce website, this might not be as important. But if you're wanting a bit more functionality with that, then this could be an issue as well. So it's just one thing to make note of whenever you are starting off with your Shopify site. And then similar with Shopify, with Wix, you can switch the mobile and desk view. Again, it's really important to make sure that when you're building your site and you're editing content, that it looks good on mobile. You can change like the section headings and things like that, but it will change on desktop as well, so something to make sure of. I would just make sure of the section padding and margins as well when you're doing your Shopify site, so that everything is kind of there as well. Once you're done, you just click save, and that'll save your store, and people will be able to see it sort of in person live as well. The other functionality that Shopify does have is blog posts. So with Wix, you could do blog posts, you could do products, but you could also do like bookings and events. Shopify is purely just for e-commerce, but you do have the option for a blog post as well. So if you go into blog posts, click on create blog posts on the blog's dashboard. You can give sort of like the name of the blog, and within here the actual blog content. It's laid out a little bit differently to how Wix would be, but you can add different kind of formatting. So if you wanted to add maybe like a heading, so for example you would type in the heading, and then you can add sort of like a heading 2, you can add different kind of headings as well. And things like that. Similar to Wix, you can add videos and you can add images as well. If you click on insert image, you can do product images or uploaded images as well. And then you want to give the excerpt as well down here. Each of your blogs can be optimized for SEO, so if you click on edit website SEO, you can give it a page title and description, and I would do that for all of your blogs and all of the pages that you have. So it's still as functional as Wix would be, maybe laid out a little bit differently, but you do have the blog functionality as well, if not the other functionality that does come with Wix. But again, your blog post dashboard is here, and you can see all of the contents here as well. If you go back to the home, you can see there's different things that you could do, like adding products, adding things like that. To add a product, you just click onto the products dashboard, click on add your products, and you want to give it sort of like the product name, small description. Media would be the image files, so images of the actual product. So you want to make sure that you're using real images of the product and not any kind of stock images here. And then you want to add some like pricing, and you can sort of do compare at price. So if you wanted to add a sale price, for example, if this is on a sale, then it'll go as a sale price item as well. You can track the quantity, you can set up the shipping weight as well for different shipping options, and you can give it a category as well. So it's really important that when you add products, you give it certain categories. It just makes it easier for users to kind of understand what this product is about, but also means that they can filter by certain categories and search by certain categories as well. A lot of people, when it comes to e-commerce websites especially, you need to make sure that your products can be navigated easily by other people. And then once you're done, just click save. So you've got your products and you've got your blog set up as well. Similar to Wix, you can add additional apps as well. Things like dropshipping apps can help you link dropshipping accounts as well. So if you wanted to try dropshipping, or if your website is for dropshipping, you can connect to those products easily. There's also other apps like page speed optimizers and Shopify emails and Instagram feeds to kind of help you with the running of that as well. So it's similar to how Wix is with their third-party apps. Shopify also offers third-party apps as well. In terms of their sales channel, you can add more and more sales channels to your Shopify dashboard. If you were selling on Facebook, if you're selling on Google, all of these sales channels can come here. And it just means that when you're adding products on your Shopify site, they will automatically feed into your Facebook and Google platform, whatever platforms it is that you're selling to. You have the option of having them set up on there as well. If you wanted to, that doesn't have to happen if you don't want it to, but you do have the option there, so that's just another plus as well if you were to use Shopify. So as I mentioned before, the Shopify platform is not free. You get a free trial for 3 days, and if you want to extend your Shopify trial, you can for just only a month, for 3 months. Which is pretty good actually. You are essentially just getting more of a trial you're getting a 3-month trial just for £1. But in terms of their plan pricing, what you want to do is go into pick a plan, and it'll show you all of Shopify's plan. So you do have the offer when you first sign up for it to be £1 a month, but their plans usually start at £19 and they go all the way to £344. So that's the most basic down to their most advanced as well. The most advanced plan does start at £344, while their most basic starts at 19, and their middle plan starts at 65. So they're a lot more expensive than the. So starting with the most basic plan, it's everything that you'll need to create your store, ship your products, and process your payments. The main difference between all of these plans are the transaction fees for all third-party payment providers, and also with the advanced ones there are more currency conversion fees as well if you are selling in multiple currencies. So for the basic plan, all third-party payment providers, so this is essentially payment providers like that aren't they're using that aren't the Shopify payment providers, so things like Stripe, Apple Pay, things like that, all of them will have transaction fees. For the most basic, they'll take 2%, and then if you get the advanced, it goes to 0.5%. So obviously the more expensive your plan, the lower your transaction fees are. The currency conversion fee is the same for all of them, but you have a 8.5% tax rate as well if there's duties and imports, so you do have that as well. In terms of basic features, for the basic plan, you get up to 2 staff members, meaning 2 different accounts can be used for your shop. Up to 1,000 locations, and you get basic reports. That increases with 5 staff members if you go for the Shopify account, and you get some more shipping information. And then with the advanced, you get up to 15 staff members, and you get professional reports. You get some international pricing, and you get some third-party calculated shipping rates as well. So you can look at all of these, and in terms of like technicalities, they're all pretty much the same. So with Wix, the main differences between all of them were the storage space and the bandwidth. And with Shopify, it's mainly shop features, shipping features, taxing features, things like that. So, whereas the performance will always be the same, just depending on how your site itself, how big it is, how much product and things like that. You get the same amount of allocation for all of them. So all plans include all of this. So they include the 24/7 support. They get the manual order creation if you ever need to make orders yourself, unlimited contacts, sales channel, things like that. And then the basic Shopify plan includes the online store, Shopify, and you can upgrade to the to the point of sales as well. So there's a lot that you get even with just the most basic one, and similar to Wix hosting and any other kind of hosting really, you can select a plan just for maybe a month or a year, and then you can switch to a higher plan or downgrade to a lower plan later on. Then you've got the starter, and this is the simplest way to start selling on social media and messaging apps as well. So this is just £1, and you can this won't include the online store, it's just for social media and messaging apps. So even though Shopify doesn't have a free plan, they do offer this £1 a month thing for the first 3 months, and 3 months is a really good amount of time for you to test out a site, test out a platform, see if you like it, see if you can manage it okay, and see if it's working out for you. And if not, there's no risk. You can always just not choose not to opt in for a higher plan, and then just do it that way as well. And then once you're done, you just basically choose a plan, and you can decide if you want to do monthly or if you want to do yearly. And then you can all you need to do is confirm your billing cycle. And just give it a business address, and then add your plan as well. So then add your payment details, and that's your plan all set up. You can have different shops on your account, so you can have different shops within your account, but you need a plan for each shop that you have. You can't just have one plan and assign that to multiple shops. One plan will assign to only one shop. But you can see sort of everything sort of sorted out, laid out on your orders dashboard. All of your orders will show up here. Your products dashboard, we've seen, is all added here as well. Customers, this is essentially a list of all the customers that have bought from your site, and it's really easy from here to see like repeat customers, new customers, old customers, people who haven't bought yet. Again, you can always, depending on their sign up options, you can always decide if you want to email sort of older customers and see if that's working out for you anyway. They also have their own kind of analytics dashboard where you can see sort of total sales of over time. You can see like total sessions, so sessions being like how how long someone has stayed on your site. So the moment someone logs onto your site to the moment that they fully X out of it is essentially a session. So you can see sessions over time, how many visitors, your returning customer rates. So they do have their own kind of analytics as well, but you can add sort of Google Analytics and Google Search Console to all of this. And you can also like compare to like different days and months and things like that. So they do have a good analytics dashboard. The reporting feature is also really good, even for the most basic one. You can do sessions by locations, and you can use essentially to analyze sort of weak points in any of your websites or if any of your products. It's a really easy way to see which products are performing really well, which products are performing are not performing so well, whether it's worth it sort of to keep selling those products or not. So the reporting feature is definitely something you want to keep an eye out for. When it comes to your online store, you want to make sure that you have everything set up as well. So if you go into online store, if you go into preferences, you can set up things like your homepage title, your meta description, your Google Analytics code you can add here, and your Facebook pixel code you can add here as well to add more sort of tracking. But you want to make sure all of this is set up first before you go live with your site and start sending it across to users and sharing it on social media and things like that. All of that is sort of set up for you as well. So very straightforward to use. Again, Shopify is mainly for people who have the e-commerce, who are wanting an e-commerce platform and only an e-commerce platform. If you're wanting other functionality as well, then maybe something like Wix might be a little bit better. But again, it's really easy to start setting up yourself with Shopify. If you're not someone that has the technical knowledge to set up your own website. Saying that though, with Shopify, while you do have the option for themes, for paid or free themes, you can also create your own theme using the .liquid files basically, and JSON files. So if you like the platform of Shopify, if you like that e-commerce functionality, you like the pricing, it all works well for you, but you want to have your own custom theme, your own custom design, you can essentially add custom code to your website, upload template files, upload files for maybe like a custom product template or custom page template, things like that, and upload them directly. So that's a little bit different to how Wix is set up, because Wix is mainly just templates. You can add some custom code in there with the Editor X, but it is mainly just the free templates that you have, whereas Shopify can be a fully customizable theme, but using the online marketing or online e-commerce platform and connecting to other platforms as well, so you do have that option. So again, another really good option for building out your website if you wanted to. But it really just depends on your own budget, your own technical skills, how you want to design your website, and things like that. To view your store, come into your dashboard and click on View Your Store. And you can see how your store looks after making any changes and things like that. And kind of go through the site and see how things look, whether that's the products, the catalog, contact, anything like that. So you can kind of get a general overview of how your site looks and really understand how that works as well. So both Wix and Shopify are examples of website builders where if you wanted to create a website yourself, however, you don't have so much technical knowledge to be able to code it yourself, but there are platforms out there that are designed so for you to create your own fully customized website and the design that you exactly want with the functionality that you want as well. And this would be a really suitable option if you have the technical skills for that, and you want a website where you want full control over everything and you want to design it yourself. So one platform we're going to talk about is WordPress. So WordPress is one of the simplest and also one of the most popular ways to create your own website or a blog. WordPress actually powers over 43.3% of the websites on the internet. So one in four websites that you visit are most likely powered by WordPress. WordPress can be used to create loads of different kinds of websites, like business websites, e-commerce website, blog websites, simple brochure websites, even things like membership sites as well. So it's a very, very versatile type website platform as well. One thing to note is that WordPress comes in two forms. There's the WordPress.org and then there's WordPress.com. So WordPress.org, often called self-hosted WordPress, it's the free version, it's open source, and it's a WordPress software that you install on your web host to create a website that's 100% your own. And WordPress.com is a for-profit paid service that's powered by WordPress.org software. It's simple to use, but you lose a lot of the flexibility of the self-hosted WordPress. Most of the time when people say WordPress, they mean the self-hosted WordPress, and this is the example that we're going to go over today. If you want to truly own your website, then self-hosted WordPress.org is almost always the best option, but it is self-hosted, meaning that you will need to find a hosting solution yourself. So if you remember from the Wix websites and the Shopify websites, they all have their own kind of hosting platform that you would need to use, whereas with WordPress, with the WordPress.org, you need to do your own kind of WordPress solution hosting as well. This can sound like a bit of a pain, but because WordPress is such a popular platform, there are loads of hosting providers that are equipped to host a WordPress website in a really optimum way. There's even hosting providers out there that are specifically made for hosting WordPress websites and no other kinds of website as well. So while it does sound like extra work, it is very simple to find a hosting provider that will suit your needs and your WordPress needs as well. So as I mentioned before, the main difference between the two versions is the way your site is hosted. So WordPress.com is a hosting platform and provides you with a hosting platform with it, and WordPress.org is self-hosted. But the software used to run both the versions is the same, and they're both free. When you are when you are using self-hosted WordPress, you need to set up your own server, and then set up and install WordPress on that server. Once you have WordPress installed on that server, it'll look something like this. This is the WordPress login dashboard. And this is the WordPress dashboard itself. There's a few things already installed in that dashboard, but when you install it, it'll look a lot less cluttered. You'll see your main dashboard here, and this dashboard will kind of give you an overview on your WordPress website, your site health status, any activity, blog status, things like that. The way WordPress works is it's made up of essentially themes and plugins. So themes are essentially a group of files like style sheets, JavaScript code, graphics, anything like that, and those will basically use to kind of decide the overall appearance of your website, the overall design of your website basically. And they control basically like your theme styling, like the colors that you use, the fonts that you use, button colors, hyperlink colors, all of that is defined within your theme files, and then they're applied onto your website. WordPress is made up of one theme, as in on each WordPress website you can only run one theme, so you don't need to go in and install a whole bunch of themes, just pick one theme that you like, or upload your own custom theme as well. So that's one thing about WordPress, is that you have greater flexibility on if you want to use one of the free or paid themes that come with the WordPress directory. All of these themes are essentially free to use, and some are paid, and they're optimized for SEO, they're optimized for mobile, or you can completely customize your own theme and upload it yourself. Themes can only be, you only need to apply one theme as well, so you don't need to go in and apply a whole bunch of themes. You can only run one theme at a time. If you decide not to create your own custom theme, you can go in and upload your own, install a already pre-designed theme, but then you are able to kind of update that with the design slightly as well. If you go into appearances and you go into themes, you can see these are all the themes that are currently being offered with WordPress. There's a whole bunch of free themes, there's a whole bunch of paid themes as well. There's also loads of third-party markets out there that are selling WordPress themes. Some of them at a very premium price, but they are, however, really well designed and really nice websites to kind of have on your website to use for yourself as well. So what you can do is go into the themes here, and all of these, this is essentially the WordPress theme directory, and you can go through and look through all the themes that you have that are being offered, all of them free to use, and you can decide if you hover over them, you can either install or you can preview them, and you can sort of see what that is going to look like the about page, what themes that they're using, what their homepage looks like, what their subpages look like, what their fonts look like. And then if you're happy with it, all you need to do is click install, and that theme is then installed onto your website. You can switch between themes, and I encourage in the beginning, play around with some themes, look at how they look on the website, look how they look on mobile, how easy it is to customize certain things as well. And then once you're done, finally install the theme that you want. You can later on switch themes at any point, but there will be some breakage in layout and design and things like that. So I would recommend just testing out different themes in the beginning, and then sticking to one theme throughout. When you go on to adding new themes, if you click on Add New, obviously there's a whole bunch of themes there that can be difficult to navigate through, so what you can do is use the feature filter, and you can filter by different features on the website, so things like the subject. So if you know what the topic of your website is going to be, whether that's e-commerce, blog, food and drink, different subjected websites will have different layouts. So for example, if you were to click e-commerce, then you'll see themes that are optimized for e-commerce websites. Then you have features as well. If you want a custom header, things like themes that have site editors and things like that, and the layout. You pick whichever theme filter that you want to filter by, and then you can select which theme that you kind of want to go for. Each of them are going to be optimized for whatever the settings that you set up from the feature filter. So you've got a good amount of themes to kind of pick for and preview and install onto your website. So as well as themes, WordPress also offers a lot of plugins. Plugins are what you're going to use to increase the functionality of your website. They're essentially additional bits of code that you plug into your site, and it will give you extra functionality or improve the functionality of the website that you currently have. At its core, WordPress will offer a blog section, so the post section, and the CMS control of it, but that is the most basic functionality. If you want to add more functionality, then that's where the plugins come in. So for example, a really popular plugin that a lot of people would use is the WooCommerce plugin. WooCommerce is an e-commerce plugin, so using that one will essentially turn your WordPress website into an e-commerce website, and it will allow you to set up products, set up shipping, delivery, and allow you to sell directly to your customers from your website. So that's just an example of basically a plugin extending the functionality of the site. Other plugins that are really popular are things like the LearnDash plugin, and this will allow you to sell courses, and also will allow people to complete courses on your website as well. So your entire website will turn into essentially a learning website where people can buy a course from your website and also complete that course on your website, keep track of all of your progress and things like that. And then there's plugins to, for example, that will allow you to set up events and allow you to basically sell tickets to events, allow you to offer booking services to your customers. So if you have a service that you want to offer to your customers and you want them to be able to book themselves in for an appointment or for an inquiry or things like that, you can offer that onto your website as well. You can also use plugins to actually build your website. So there are really popular plugins out there that are used to build every single part of your website. They'll build a custom header, they'll build a home page, and they'll build a footer, they'll build single product pages, templates, things like that. So that's a really good option if you want a really customized website. You want to be able to control every aspect of it. You don't want to use a simple template, but you don't have the coding experience of it either. Plugins like the Elementor plugin, it's a website builder and it has that drag and drop functionality, similar to how Wix does, but a little bit more optimized. That's using plugins like that is a very kind of middle ground between wanting a custom website but wanting a really easy way to kind of create that custom website yourself without coding it. With Wix, you do get the ease and functionality of it where you can sort of drag and drop different elements, but it's not custom. You are restricted by sort of how some things look and things like that. And then obviously with custom coding, obviously you can get the exact website looking how you want it to, but you need to definitely have some skill there and you need to be able to write code and deploy code, things like that. So using a page builder plugin like Elementor or Divi is that middle ground between the two, where you can get a custom website but you can do it yourself without coding it. So that's a really good option as well. Plugins like that, plugins like themes come in free and paid. So WooCommerce, the e-commerce plugin I talked about earlier, is a free plugin, but there are third-party plugins to that that are paid. So for example, plugins like the booking platform plugin, that's a paid plugin. The Elementor page builder has a free version, but there's also a pro version of it. So when it comes to plugins, again, it's another one of those things to consider, where do you need the plugin in order to do the functionality that you want, and if so, is there a price to it, and if there is a price to it, does it fall within the budget or not? So that's another thing that you want to consider, but you need to consider how much you actually need the plugin itself, because if you do need a page builder plugin to build the plugin to build the website that you actually want, then you need to make sure that then you have the budget for it as well. Other plugins include SEO plugins like Rank Math. So Rank Math is an SEO plugin, and it's essentially used to optimize every single page and post to every website for SEO, meaning that every single page and post will be optimized for search engines, and that means making sure that you have enough content on the page, the right type of content on the page, keywords are assigned to every single page, that you have a title, meta description, all of that onto your page. Rank Math itself is a plugin that we would recommend, and it's free. They do have a paid version, but the majority of their platform, a lot of what they offer is free. The plugin itself is really simple and straightforward to use as well. When you are installing and activating plugins, what you want to do is go into plugins, click on Add New. If it's a plugin that is free, you will find it within the WordPress directory. You can find it in the directory itself. You can go into popular plugins, or you can go into recommended plugins, or you can search for plugins and look for the plugins that way. And then once you find the plugin that you want, you just want to click on Install Now, and then click on Activate. And then that's once your plugin is activated, then it's actually on your site. If it's just installed and it's not activated, then it's not actually active on your site. It's just there on the back end, but the functionality isn't quite there. So you need to make sure that this plugin is installed and it's activated as well. When it comes to plugins, you need to make sure that the plugins that you use are actually plugins that you genuinely need, and that there aren't any sort of disabled plugins just sitting on your site. So if you see a site here, so for example this plugin here is on the site but it's not activated yet, so it's just sort of sitting there on the site. You want to avoid this as much as possible. If there's a plugin that you don't need, you need to make sure that it's removed, because plugins are, while they are really good for increasing your functionality, they are also the number one way where a lot of hackers tend to hack into your site. So having loads and loads of plugins there will increase that risk of hackers being able to come in to hack into your site. So you want to make sure that the plugins that you have are there because you genuinely need them, and there's no sort of plugins there that you don't need. Any plugins that you don't need should be removed as soon as possible. Plugins as well, you want to make sure that you're using a reliable plugin. The way to do that is if you go into the plugin page itself, it shows you sort of like how many installations it has, the last time it was updated, if it's compatible with your version of WordPress, and all the rankings. You want to pick a plugin that's been installed on quite a number of your websites, kind of a number of different websites, has good reviews, and has been updated as often as possible, whether that's been recently or if they do like constant updates, because then you know they tend to be safer plugins as well. You also want to make sure that plugins are kind of up to date as much as possible. So every so often when you install plugins, plugins will need to be updated more or less every week. When there's a new update available, you want to update as much as possible, because again, that's another way where hackers can get in, is through outdated plugins, because they're no longer optimized to protect against the most latest security threats. So you want to make sure all of your plugins are as optimized as well. Maybe set out a day once a week to sit down with your plugins and just update them each one by one, and things like that. Plugins are also a big way of plugins also will have the risk of basically increasing the performance time on your website as well. So plugins tend to increase plugins can increase sort of the bloating on your website, increases the memory. There's a lot of storage that you need to run certain plugins, especially page builder plugins. A lot of page builder plugins, if you don't have the right amount of resources allocated to the site, your site can essentially slow down, which isn't really good for SEO. It's not good for user experience. You want to make sure that there's an appropriate number of resources allocated to your site in order to make sure your site is running as smooth as possible. Either it's something you need to check with your hosting provider, but also just make sure that the plugin that you're using isn't taking up so much space. One way to kind of test that is to run a GTmetrix test. So GTmetrix is a free tool that you can use, and you can use it to essentially monitor the performance of your website, how fast your website is, and things like that. If what you can do is run a GTmetrix test before you install the plugin, and then run a GTmetrix test after you install the plugin. And if you notice a huge difference in your performance, where it's decreased by a lot, and your performance isn't as high as before, then maybe consider using a different plugin altogether, or just finding, if possible, code the solution in if you can. And if you notice a small difference in performance, there will be a performance change, but if it's not that big, then I think it's fine to keep with the plugin. But again, you want to make sure the plugins that you use won't increase the load time on your site, and that they're absolutely necessary to be used on your site as well. So other than appearance, other than themes and plugins, the rest of your WordPress dashboard is straightforward. So once you have installed WordPress, you have your actual dashboard here, and it'll show you sort of overall activity. You can have, if you click into screen options, you can customize this page to have it completely blank and clear, or you can do it to show everything. As you install more and more plugins, there'll be more things added to your dashboard, and you can decide whether you want to remove them or not. But they essentially give you an overview of that specific plugin and of your site in general. If you go into the updates page, it'll show you all the updates that are required. So essentially whether they're plugin updates, and there are also any theme updates that you might have. You can update them all from here as well. Again, you want to make sure that you keep on top of your updates. Then you have your post section. So the post section is essentially where all your blogs are written. This is essentially your blog dashboard, and from here you can click into each blog, click on add new, and you can add new blogs, and you can add blog categories, tags, featured image, things like that, and any more blog functionality, things like adding an SEO plugin like Rank Math will add itself to the back end of the blog as well. With the blogs, very similar to how Wix and Shopify work. You just type in the name of the blog in the title part, and then within this content here you type in the actual blog content, whatever that is, and then you can format that with like different formatting options. You can add media and things like that, and then you can choose the settings as well, so like the page settings, and this kind of comes with your theme. So your theme will kind of decide which kind of general header layout that you want. So this part will look slightly different depending on what theme you use, but essentially it's how you can decide what your theme, what that blog will look like. And then you can give it a featured image, and then you can give it a tag, and then you can either save it as a draft or you can publish it. Again, if you save it as a draft, it won't publish on the live site, it'll just go back to your post dashboard, but if you publish it, it will then feed into your live site. Then you have your media library, and this is essentially where all of the images, videos, any documents, PDF files, things like that, if you upload them to the site, they'll all be added here in the media library. If you click into them, then you can sort of see, you can add alternative text, you can get the file URL as well. You can either add images directly like to the page itself, to the blog itself, and it'll add itself to the media library, or you can click add new, select files, and then upload those images or those media files to your site itself, and then use it on the blog. So it's up to you, but essentially no matter where you upload the piece of media, it's always going to you can always find it within the media library. Next, you have your pages. So these are all the pages on your site, and you can go through each of them and then change like the content depending on what theme that you use, or even if you use a page builder. It's all basically set up on the back end of the page. If you use the page builder, then you can basically start building out the page using the different widget, and if it's using the theme, then you can sort of see like the theme layouts and how it's meant to work, and go that way. Next, you have comments, and these are essentially if you have the comment functionality set up on the post page, then what you can do is, or set up on the posts, then it basically just means that people can leave comments on your WordPress posts, and you can monitor them from the back end. You can decide if you want to keep the comments on the post, if you want to delete them, if you want to approve them, things like that. Appearance, and this is essentially where your themes are, and your plugins are where your plugins are. With your users, this is essentially a list of all the people that have access to your site, whether that's as an admin, if they're a subscriber to your site, if they're a shop manager, things like that. Different roles will have different access levels, but essentially admin will have access to everything. WordPress doesn't have a limit on how many users have access to your site. However, you need to, for safety purposes, you want to make sure that there isn't too much, at least admin access to your site, maybe one or two to help you keep a handle on things. But essentially, you can add new users. You just need to type in their email and their password, and then they'll be able to have, back-end access to your site, or some kind of access to your site. You also want to go into settings and just set up the general settings, things like your site name, tagline, if you have an email address. You want to make sure that the time zone is correct, date format and time format is correct as well. And you want to make sure things like the reading and writing are the same as well. So if you want to turn off, for example, comments, if you click on writing, if you click on discussion, you can essentially change the want to go on the discussion settings, and you want to basically, if you want to, you can sort of decide if you want to allow people to submit comments on new posts, and if you do want to allow them, you can sort of decide if you want to moderate them before they're being published, or if you want to publish them immediately, and you want to decide things like that. And then you can decide if you want to use a page builder to build out your website, or if you want to customize and build your website yourself. But WordPress is a really good option for that if you want to do either. And then still use that CMS functionality as well. But there's a lot of plugins out there that kind of do a lot of the functionality as well. Just another things that you want to think about whenever you are building out your own website. So when it comes to web design, there are lots of options out there. Whether you design yourself using templates or hire out an agency like ProfileTree, it's important you understand how much of an effect good or bad web design can have on your business. Here at ProfileTree, we've designed and launched websites for a wide range of businesses across Ireland, UK, Europe, and internationally. We pull in a range of our services from design, development, as well as our internet marketing services to build a profitable website for your business. Contact us today or have a look at some of our other videos below for more information. Thanks.